Hey, this is Frank. This is my 1993 Toyota MR2 SW21. It originally had a 5SFE 2.2 liter 4-cylinder engine, naturally aspirated, that pushed about 115 horsepower on a good day, and that's to the wheels. Now, back in 2017, I swapped this car with a 3.5 liter V6 2GR-FE engine. This was one of the very first swap MR2s to hit over 300 horsepower to the wheels, 308 horsepower on my dyno, and that was back in 2017. And of course, it's been eclipsed a little bit in the elapsed time since then. But nevertheless, this is a very fun car to drive. So what I'm doing today is a little bit of updating to the coolant system. And what I've done specifically is I've got this coolant hose from TCS Motorsports. And this hose was not available at the time I did the swap. But this hose, its beauty is it bypasses the entire assembly of the coolant tube that sits on the firewall. Let me show you what that is. So believe it or not, all stock MR2s have this very strange tube that is bolted to the firewall right back there. I can't even get it back into the position that it was in. And its intention was for a transmission cooler for the automatic transmission cars, of which there were a few available. Right, so because the radiator is way in the front, they could not reach the transmission cooler lines, oil cooler lines, all the way to the front. So they just mounted a cooler on the firewall, and for the cars that had a manual transmission, there was no need for a cooler, so they just put a stupid tube there. So I'm going to give you a view of the hose from underneath the car. And of course, I realize that not all of you have the luxury that you can walk right under the car, but here's the hose. It comes from the coolant neck on the engine, comes down and goes into the tube, the coolant tube, all the way to the front, to the radiator. Now, the important thing about this hose is it is molded in such a shape that it avoids contact with the transmission linkages. This is very important because some of the hoses that were used before this hose was available, people would try to adapt some stock hoses from other vehicles, and they all contacted with the transmission shift linkages. It was really not desirable at all. But Ty Saxon, who is the owner at TCS Motorsports, who sells this hose, he saw is a really opportunity and a service for the MR2 swap community to develop this hose and sell it. So kudos to Ty. Thank you very much for this beautiful item. Oh, and by the way, if you want to buy one of these hoses for your car, I'm going to include a link in the video description for where you can buy one straight from TCS. So that's it for this video. I just wanted to show you this hose. In the next video upcoming in the series, I'm going to show you how I fill the coolant system, because obviously I had to drain the coolant system in order to replace this hose. And filling the coolant system on the MR2 can be challenging, but I'll show you how I like to do it to avoid any locks in the flow that would lead to overheat. So stay tuned for the next video.